Hey guys, OGLBine here, bringing you guys my APA Academy Season 2 Week 6 battle against our buddy Zombie and his Victinis. I mentioned the team builder, but if you have not checked out Zombie, be sure to go do so below. He's a very talented battler, very cool dude, and he's definitely been on his grind in Academy this season, playing well, getting his games up and stuff like that. And he has a very terrifying team that consists of Marshadow that we do not deal with. And speaking of the team builder, if you are interested in more so like the exact 6 that we brought, sets, EVs, items, all that good stuff, the whole 9 yards, be sure to go check that out. But if you would rather just, check out the battle, just a quick rundown of our team. It consists of a Kasib, Stealth Rock, 3 attacks, Jirachi, mainly as a lure for that Marshadow. I want to bluff Scarf if at all possible. We have a Darkinium Z, Rotamo with dual stabs, and Volt Switch and Dark Pulse, obviously, trying to catch that Lottie, be killed after rocks if he's offensive. We have a Choice Scarf Tyranitar. Our whole game plan with our 2 potential win cons revolves solely around getting rid of that Latias, so that's going to be our main way of doing so. We always do a KO with Pursuit if he's not, super bulky. Then on the switch, we should knock it out, and if we want to get that 50-50 right, Crunch obviously Bobset thing as well. Also serves a really good Wasefa on check, and yeah, it's also a Aurora Veil deterrent for that Alola Ninetales that you see on your screen. Then we have a Keldeo where sub-dual stabs called mine. Phenomenal win con in this game. As soon as we get rid of that Latias, that's our only way of, really being able to win this game with that mon. But if we do so, then it can obviously put in a lot of work. Next up, we have our Choice Scarf Naganadel. Serves our speed control this week. Gives us good momentum in U-turn, and dual stabs with Fire Blast hits the team very hard. So if we can lock into the correct move, we can potentially win the end game. I can definitely see Sludge Wave winning in the end game if we can get rid of that Steela, that or Dragon Pulse, depending on that between Steela and Ninetales being gone. Dragon Pulse is definitely a great option too, because we will get the special attack boost in that, so that is something to keep in mind. And then we have a sub 3 attacks Deoxys that also needs that Latias gone, because we're not carrying coverage for it. We're Drain Punch, Psychic, and Thunderbolt, but we hit everything else very hard on this team. If we're behind a sub when Marshadow comes in, then we, can bob with a Psychic, and once we're, in safely and Latias is gone, we basically claim a kill, which is obviously really nice. But yeah, with that being said, let's just jump right into the battle. I decided to lead off with my Jirachi because I wanted to be put in the best position overall if you like to lead off with Marshadow. If you just led hard Marshadow, and I led anything else in my team, I basically had to pick a sack, and that's not something I wanted to do turn 1 of the game, as he actually ends up leading his Blacephalon. Now, this is a very tough turn for me, because I know the double is very obvious. I'm pretty much always going to go into my T-Tar, especially, even if I am Scarfed, I'm not going to stay and risk this thing Choice Scarfed, and I need this healthy. Even if I am Kasib and he goes for the Shadow Ball, Fire Blast still can blow me away because I'm not very Spadef. I don't ever Oko it, and I need this thing to potentially beat that Marshadow in the end game. So I know my switch into T-Tar is very obvious, but it is a play I'm going to have to make just because we're so early in the game, and I don't want to overplay and potentially lose. As Zombie does make a smart play, and he does go for a quick little double here out into his Celesteela, which is very annoying as we do go into our Tyranitar. This puts us in a tough spot. Very aggressive turn 1 double on Zombie's part, but again, it was also pretty obvious. Puts us in on the back foot pretty much early in the game, which is very obnoxious. I do notice that there is no Gliscor though, so my Rotamo is actually free to Volt Switch around in his team all day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go hard into that. If he's autotomized, he never knocks us out in 1 hit, unless he's like, super offensive Fire Blast, like Life Orb or something like that. He just ends up going for the Heavy Slam, showing us that he's not very offensive at all. Unfortunately, we're going to start taking chip from Sand and all that stuff, as he is going to pull a hard switch out into his Ninetales right here. And it's good to get good chip on this thing, just to put it in range of other mons like our Sludge Wave from our Naganadel and mons like that and stuff. So we are going to go for the Volt Switch, get a good amount of chip on it, showing that this thing is very offensive. Which is pretty interesting considering I have Jirachi, but it puts me in a tough spot because I don't ever want to go hard Jirachi on this thing, because if I take a bunch of chip on Rachi, I can't live the the potential Spectral Thief from the Marshadow, so I don't want to deal with that potentially, as he is going to pull the switch out into his Blacephalon making a good mid-ground play in case I wanted to, call a Seal switch. We're going to be able to go for the U-turn, they'll get momentum, and this puts us in a great position because now we're going to be able to effectively eliminate this Blacephalon no matter what he goes for. If he's Will-O-Wisp, it's very, very annoying because of the fact that Latias can't potentially, beat us at that point. We'll have to go for Crunch versus that thing. But Sand plus Hail actually, and U-turn, all that stuff, actually put him in range of Pursuit regardless, unless he's super bulky. He actually ends up going for the Trick, though, and funny enough, he tries to trick us with Choice Scarf when we're already Choice Scarf. So we do kind of reveal our set there a little bit, unfortunately. If he would have went for, like, a Shadow Ball, just, like, trying to get Chip or something like that, we would have been able to hide that we were Scarf, because he was as well. But nonetheless, we're able to take out that Blacephalon, which is really nice, because we didn't switch into that. The only downside to bringing this set to this game, though, is this means that Marshadow can come in for free, click a button, and something's going to die. I talked about my Naganadel being a great win con, being good speed control, but I figured it was my least useful member. I think I need the rest of the mons on my team to win the game, so I am going to just go into my Naganadel. I'm going to sack it off. And the Sandstorm is actually going to hit me first, which, if Zombie was paying attention, which I assume he was, is going to tip him off that I am actually faster than him, which shows that I'm Choice Scarf. So he's going to make the smart play, go for a Shadow Sneak. I was hoping I could catch him off guard, go for the Dragon Pulse and get a lot of chip off, potentially knock him out after Sandstorm and Life Orb. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Naganadel is going to go down right here, as I am going to go hard out into Rachi. It's no drawback at this point. I always live a hit from this thing, and I can knock it out with Zen Headbutt. But he's going to pull the switch out into his Celesteela, as I believe I just go hard for the Zen Headbutt. I don't want to play around with this thing, just in case he, calls my bluff, which I am definitely bluffing. As he goes into Celesteela, takes a little bit of chip, and shows the Rocky Helmet. Now this plays a lot more mind games on me throughout this game, because if I keep going for U-turn and Zen Headbutt and he goes hard into Celesteela and I start taking a bunch of Rocky Helmet chip, I'm slowly going to be put in the range of Sneak or Spectral Thief or something like that. So that is something I definitely need to keep in mind. It's another reason I'm definitely not going to go for U-turn on this turn, because it both compromises that I am not Choice Scarf and it gets me a bunch more chip, and if he gets rocks up at that point, things are just getting really, really tough. So I am going to pull a hard switch out into my Rotom again, I believe. Hoping that I can just get a big hit off on something, as I do go out into Rotom right here, as he does make a nice little double right here, out into his Frost, not his Frostlass, I saw Frost, and I immediately assumed Frostlass, because we have that, but no, he goes out into his Alolan Ninetales, which is a very good double. This thing does put on a little bit of offensive pressure, simply because I cannot let my Jirachi take a Blizzard, take a Moonblast, take a Dark Pulse if he wants to go for a hard read. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go hard out into my T-Tar. I know I can let anyone hit. I don't expect him to go for the Moonblast, and we can kind of scout and see what this thing wants to go for. If he wants to go for the Aurora Veil, then we can definitely stop that, as he does end up going for the Blizzard, hitting through the sand, as this shows me that he is pretty offensive. The little Ninetales isn't very strong, but the fact that it did that much, it shows us that he is very, very offensive, plus the damage from, our Volt Switch earlier showed that, as he's going to pull the switch out into his Suicune right here, as I just go for a Stone Edge. I should outspeed that thing, barring Scarf Ninetales, and, obviously knock it out, and he knows where Scarf, he's going to pull the switch out, but he didn't have a great switch into Stone Edge, barring Marshadow, but he doesn't want to take chip on that from Sand plus Stone Edge plus Life Orb for the next hit and stuff like that. So that play definitely makes sense. Because right here, I'm going to pull switch out into my Rotom. Our opponent ends up going for a Calm Mind right here, which is definitely pretty scary depending on his set. If he has Ice Beam, he can potentially knock us out here. We can't knock him out with anything but Leaf Storm, and that's not a move I want to go for at this point, because I feel like he might want to switch out and preserve this thing, and he's kind of just showing us a set. He's going to reveal the lefties and all that stuff. As right here, I am just going to go for a Thunderbolt, bringing this thing down very low. We're not going to be able to knock it out, but we're going to do a huge chunk, also showing that we're faster, so he's a very, very bulky Suicune, because we are modest and we're not running max speed at all. He's going to go for the Scald. He's not going to get the burn, which is very nice, but the Sandstorm is doing a good job of chipping us by itself. Bringing him down pretty low right here to where he can't take another Thunderbolt. Now, this is a big turn, too, because at this point, I'm expecting him to want to save this just as a potential sack, or just as something to live a hit for my T-Tar later if he can get enough Protects up, or if Sand goes away, he can get a little bit of Lefty's recovery back. And I really, really, really wanted to click Darkinium Z here, but I looked down at my bottom screen, and I realized that I actually forgot to put my Z Crystal on my Rotom. This is something I've done like 10 times in League battles at this point, but I completely forgot, and it put me in a really, really tough spot, because if I, you know, was able to get the play right, which you're going to see right here, that he actually does switch out into the Latias. And you can call me on BS and, you know, say like, you're just saying that because he switched into it. But it was really a play that was, you know, going through my mind. Maybe I wouldn't have clicked it because I would have been scared. But I'm going to go for a Thunderbolt regardless right here, because Dark Pulse definitely wouldn't have knocked out that Suicune. Darkinium Z would have. So, unfortunately, we are going to actually drop to this Latias, going for a devastating Drake right here. Now, this is a trade I'm totally willing to make. My Rotom at this point was very, very weakened, as we get a bunch of lag, but there shouldn't be. But yeah, my Rotom at this point was very, very weakened, so I was totally fine with letting this go down, because what it's going to do is give me a free switch into my, into my T-Tar, and I can trap this thing, and that makes my Keldeo, and that makes my Deoxys terrifying for him to deal with, which is really good. We just need a little bit of chip on the Celesteela, and my Keldeo just wins after a Calm Mind, which is really nice. So down goes Rotom, which is, again, totally fine. Out comes Tyranitar, and what we're going to do is we're just going to spam Pursuit at this point. He can't stall us out. He's not left over, so he's always 2-hit KO'd unless he's super, super, super defensive, which Dragonium Z makes me think he might not be. He's going to stay in, which is a pretty smart play in his end. He knows I'm going to go for the Pursuit, and he wants to try and see if he can Roost on me, see if I'm very, very defensive Scarf, something like that. He is going to go for the Roost right here, though, and you're going to see he's getting very, very close to back up where he was at, but I think it's a net loss at this point. We're going to keep clicking Pursuit right here. I believe he clicks Roost 1 or 2 more times at this point. I don't remember exactly how many, but he's going to eventually realize that this is a losing battle, so we just have to kind of get to that point. And I kind of, you know, talked too much and got ahead of myself. But you're going to see, maybe it was the roll I got, but you're going to see he has significantly less health than he did last time. I think this is the turn where he realizes he can't outstall the Pursuits, especially being that I have double the PP that he does have. Yeah, he's going to just go for a Draco, trying to get as much chip off as possible. Totally fine, though. I can eat this up pretty well. Brings me down to 57, which is totally fine again. And then this next turn, we're going to be able to finish off this Latias right here, which is, again, really, really nice, because this opens up the door for our Keldeo and our Deoxys to win the game in the end, which is, again, what we were going for when we built this team and all that stuff. So down goes the Latias, which is great. Out comes the Alolan Ninetales, which is not great. That is very scary. This one can obviously, you know, potentially revenge us at this point, and we are locked into Pursuit, as he is going to go for the Moonblast. I'm just going to sack off my Tar. This also gives me really valuable information, shows me that he's actually Scarf Ninetales, which is something I was not expecting at all with a Jirachi on my team. But it actually turns out to be a very, very big threat at this point, because I can't take a bunch of chip on my Jirachi at all, which, you know, obviously would be really, really bad for me, as he is going to pull the switch out into his Celesteela. I'm going to make a very risky double into my Deoxys at this point, saying, you know, calling his bluff, wanting him to switch out, and also not wanting to take Rocky Helmet chip and stuff like that. I'm sure he was confused why I didn't just U-turn at that point, but I didn't want to take the Rocky Helmet chip so I could stay out of range of that Marshadow, potentially, as I am going to take a little bit of Hail chip. In my play right here, I'm going to go for Substitutes, simply because the fact is, if he's super, super Spadef, he can potentially live a hit for me, and I don't need health on my Marshadow, on my Deoxys at all, and if he, like, chokes and, like, goes hard into Marshadow, or he goes hard into Suicune trying to sack it off, or even goes for like a lead seed with his Celesteela for some reason, I can get it behind a free sub, and I can actually potentially win the game with the Deoxys from here. So I'm just going to keep going for sub as many times as I possibly can. I believe this is the last time I go for it. I want to guarantee put this thing in range, even though it should pretty much always die at this point, unless he's Wakan. And if he's Wakan, I'm kind of screwed regardless. But I don't think that'll be his set in this game. I don't have a very, very threatening electric type off the top of my memory. But yeah, I believe this turn is the turn in which I am going to go for Thunderbolt. It is going to be able to pick off the Steela, and now that the Steela is gone, Jirachi is in a really prime position in this game as well. He doesn't have a Mon that really switches into its dual stats. Suicune is very, very low. Marshadow dies at this point, and Ninetales obviously dies to an Iron Head. So right here, he's going to go into the Marshadow, go for the Shadow Snake. I click Psychic just in case he didn't end up having it, but he is going to just click that button, knock out our Deoxys, which is, again, completely fine. He loses a little bit of HP. Deoxys did its job, though. It broke through that Celesteela for us, which is great for a Jirachi, as we're going to come in right here, and this is where it's going, the bluffing Scarf is going to pay off dividends. He's going to go for a Shadow Sneak, thinking he could potentially pick me off right here, thinking I'm Scarf, knowing he doesn't have another switch in. as I do eat that up pretty well. I think we will live with Spectral Thief. It might have been a roll, but we're going to go for a Zen Head. But thankfully, we are going to knock out the Marshadow. Our lure worked to perfection at this point, as down it goes. And we should be able to clean up this game with our Jirachi, provided we hit a Zen Headbutt on the Suicune. Right here, he's going to go into the Ninetales, and the reason he's doing this is he's going to go, he's basically going to go for Hail Chip to potentially put me in range of Scarf Ninetales, as he knows I'm not Scarf now. His best way of winning is potentially Moonblast at the end. But barring a crit on my Keldeo, I always live with Moonblast because I'm super bulky, and at the range he's at, he definitely dies to a Secret Sword because I still do have a decent amount of special attack. But I'm just going to go for the safe Iron Head. I have no reason to overplay and overpredict and risk a miss on the Ninetales and then get 2 KO'd by it for some reason. But Hail's going to chip me down. It's going to chip the Suicune down. I'm obviously faster than it at this point, being that my Rotom was faster, and Rotom was only keeping Adamant Tar, and Rachi was creeping Jolly. So right here, we're going to go for a Zen Headbutt. Thankfully, are going to hit. We're going to knock out the Suicune, and all that's left is the Ninetales. It can't lock into any one move that'll beat me. At this point, I'm out of range of a Moonblast. I don't know if it's a crit Moonblast can kill me. It might be able to, but at that point, he'd have to get 2 crits in a row. As he is going to go for the Moonblast, and you're going to see we're actually going to live that. Crit definitely would have killed me, actually, right there, because we're not super bulky Rachi. But nonetheless, he does not get it. We're able to knock out the Ninetales, and we're able to pick up a nice 2-0 victory against Zombie here. So GG's to him. It was a very, very close game, very, very rough matchup on paper. I think we got some really cool techs this week, and I'm really glad that it worked out. Scarf Tar did phenomenal. It did exactly what we wanted it to do in game plan, and that's always, really cool to see when you spend a lot of time, formulating that game plan and having that end game in mind, and it working. I guess Keldeo didn't really touch the field, and it wasn't the one that eventually won, but getting rid of that Latias is what really opened the door for me to win, in my opinion. And also getting rid of Blacephalon. So being able to Pursuit Trap 2 mons and get 2 kills with Pursuit 1 game is obviously really cool. And then Jirachi just putting the team on its back after Dio knocked out Celesteal was also really cool. Getting 3 kills with a Adamant Jirachi with a Kasib Berry to lure that Marshadow. It was really, really cool. This is a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun this game. I remember when I was playing it, it was pretty hyped. So again, GG's to Zombie. Be sure to go check him out. He's really, really good battler. Go check out his side of the battle. I'm sure he'll have some really cool, insight as to what went down, his thought process and stuff like that. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new, be sure to subscribe so you can, catch our league games as they go up every week. We have a bunch going on, whether it be Academy, APA Little Cup, Clash of Kings, which is a draft tournament, and then we're going to start uploading PMU, or we just did start uploading PMU. I believe that went up Wednesday for you guys. I'm recording this before that video goes live, though. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to get out of here. Later.